Hello everyone, my name is Anshuman Dash and I'm a product manager at K15T. And today, I'm going to share with you the secrets to the art of self-management. And we're going to look at how self-management can help transform your organization, nurture motivated and high-performing teams, and create an environment where employees derive a sense of purpose from the work that they do. I joined K15T in 2017. Around the same time when it was transforming into a self-managed organization. And in 2018, I got the opportunity to work with a brand new self-managed team, building a product from conception to launch. And over the last 2 years, I as an individual and we as a company have continued to evolve and learn more about working in self-managed teams, replicating the success in other projects, building new products, and in the process, trying to perfect the art of self-management. The philosophy of self-management is rooted in the ideas of trust, ownership, and a sense of meaning derived from one's work. It involves individuals and teams taking up the responsibility of executing their own tasks and monitoring and managing their own performances. When the culture shifts from assigning tasks to delegating the power to take decisions, owning one's work, and participating meaningfully in shaping the organization's future, that's when the magic starts to happen. It was September 2018, and our team at K15T had just returned from the Atlassian Summit at Barcelona. And even though we had a great time, the team was somewhat disappointed because we had nothing exciting to showcase there. All our apps had been doing well and we had been building new features, but there had been no new product for a while. The next Atlassian Summit was going to be in Las Vegas. It was the perfect opportunity to launch a new product and make some noise in the community. But here's the catch. The event was scheduled for April 2019. Which meant we had exactly 6 months to come up with a new idea, develop it, release it to the marketplace, and run a successful marketing campaign leading up to the launch. Now, traditionally, in a situation like this, the leadership team would have gotten together, brainstormed ideas, decided what product to build, put together an experienced team, assigned a seasoned manager, and kept a close watch on every single aspect of the project. Which would have been completely justified considering the fact that this new product was an important strategic bet for the company. That is why it came as a surprise to me when Stefan, our CEO, decided to involve the entire company to crowdsource ideas for the project. It all started when Stefan published this blog post, urging everyone in the company to contribute their ideas towards the project. And the response was overwhelming. We had crowdsourced nearly 30 product ideas, which was way higher than what had been originally anticipated. Now, the leadership team could have taken that pool of ideas, went into a meeting room, and come out with the next course of action. But as a company that strongly believed in the philosophy of self-management, this would have proven counterintuitive. Therefore, in the spirit of self-management, everyone was given the opportunity to pitch their ideas and form teams to further refine and develop them. This way, people joined forces, combined their ideas, conducted research, and put their collective intellects and experiences to work in order to build the idea canvases for their respective products. 2 weeks later, all the teams came together to present their canvases to the rest of the company. In a World Cafe-inspired setup, these teams engaged with everyone in the company, answering questions and explaining their vision for the products. Now, empowered with all of that information, everyone in the company cast their votes for the idea they believed made most sense, taking into consideration the available time for execution, our previous experience, and the company's vision. Finally, on 16th October 2018, a little over a month after the project was announced, the votes were tallied, and the official announcement was made. The idea that I had pitched along with my team was going to be our next new product. Until this point in my career, I had always been told what to do. There had always been a task to be completed, some issue to be resolved, some bugs to be fixed, and do whatever else that was needed to be done, no questions asked. Opinions didn't really matter, and feedback was almost always unilateral. And as a developer, I had always been expected to keep my head down and stay in my lane. I had absolutely no background in management. So when Stefan asked me if I would drive the project as a product manager, you could tell shit had gotten all kinds of real. Over the next 5 months, we put together a brand new cross-functional team, kicked off the project, came up with designs, developed a fully functional app, conducted usability tests, ran a marketing campaign, and had a successful launch. And in the process, we came up with new development patterns, work processes, and team best practices, which over the year have made its way into other teams at K15T as well. The project had been a great learning experience for the company, the team, and the individuals involved. Not only did we see an increased motivation and commitment among individuals, we also saw higher innovation and productivity on a team level. In fact, a successful implementation of a self-management model has been shown to improve cost savings, result in greater innovation, improved productivity and higher commitment of teams, higher morale and motivation of team members, and an increased compatibility between the employer and the employees. But in order for such a model to be truly successful, change needs to happen at all 3 levels of the organization. To begin with, the leadership needs to drive the transformation by enabling a company culture where leaders act as guides and not managers. Then, the teams need to share the leadership responsibility by owning their work and ensuring internal and external alignment. And finally, the individuals need to monitor and manage their own performances and drive innovation. Let's start with leadership. The success of self-management in the organization depends on a strong foundation that needs to be built by the leadership. Therefore, as the leaders of your organizations, you will need to experiment, take risks, be vulnerable, but most importantly, be open to change and share the responsibility of the transformation with the whole organization. K15T was founded in the year 2009. And in a span of 8 years, it had grown its arsenal from 1 marketplace app to 15. And what had started off as a side project with 2 full-time employees now had almost 50. Therefore, as a natural response to this growth, functional teams or departments were formed. Each department had a head, and members of these functional teams were responsible for all of the apps. Unfortunately, this did not scale very well and came with its own set of challenges. To begin with, office politics had started sneaking in, creating bottlenecks in the decision-making process, thereby introducing unnecessary delays. This led to frequent escalations, which was a direct consequence of the fact that the responsibility of taking important decisions relevant to the apps and the teams were being tossed around among department heads. This not only wasted a significant amount of time, a resource that was crucial for a growing company, but also affected the productivity and morale of the team members who were working on those products. There was a need for a cultural shift and a radical change in the way things were being done at K15T. That's when the leadership team decided to move away from functional teams and introduce cross-functional product teams. These cross-functional teams comprised of members from different departments like marketing, engineering, customer success, and design, and were responsible for the development and maintenance of specific apps. But more importantly, these teams were now empowered with the autonomy to take important decisions, come up with their own work processes, and take up complete ownership of the products they were working on. With this, K15T had taken its first steps towards transforming into a self-managed organization. But such a transformation involves a lot more than just introduction of self-managed teams. In order to sustain a successful self-management model, the leadership team needs to create an environment where the team's goals are in alignment with the vision of the organization, where the team feels trusted and encouraged to do their job, and where they have the autonomy to take important decisions on their own, and where the members of the team derive a sense of purpose from the work that they do. Let's start with shared vision. A shared vision is what every member of the organization wants to achieve or accomplish together as part of the organization. It's not something that is forced by an individual, but built collectively. A shared vision not only creates common interests among members of the organization and encourages continuous learning, but also creates a shared sense of purpose, which is a key driver in the success of self-managed organizations. In order to build a shared understanding and shared vision at K15T, we conduct an open workshop called Discovery Days. The goal of the workshop is for everyone in the company to get together and collectively paint the bigger picture and align ourselves to the company's North Star. It starts with individual teams creating what are called seal builds. The idea is simple. Each team is supposed to literally draw pictures of where they want to see K15T in the next 3 to 5 years and what is needed to get there. Then, all the ideas from the individual seal builds are collected, organized, and put up on what is called a blue board. The blue board is a backlog of ideas, initiatives, and projects that would help us achieve our shared vision for K15T and help us move closer to our North Star. But the key here is that each individual is then free to take up ownership of the blue board projects, get buy-in from stakeholders, and work on them along with their day-to-day work, thus creating a permeating sense of purpose. But this is just one way of doing things and may not even work for every organization. But what is important here is the understanding of the fundamental steps that could help you create a shared vision for your organization. As the leaders of your organization, start by defining your vision for the company. Ask yourselves, will the vision create a strong organizational culture? Will it encourage people to actually care about contributing to the success of the organization? If the answers to these questions is yes, then make the vision bold and communicate it clearly. Be brutally honest and reflect on your values. Identify what is working and what is not, and seek help. Ask for input and welcome feedback from everyone. No one likes a know-it-all, and indestructible superheroes are one-dimensional and unrelatable. Therefore, being honest and vulnerable will help you get buy-in and establish organizational trust, which is a foundational component of any successful organization. Lay out your driving forces and establish your core values. Ask questions like, what do you want to achieve and what changes will be needed to get there? Collectively identify opportunities to close the gap between your vision and your current reality. Break the identified opportunities into achievable actions, set goals, and most importantly, commit to them. This is one of the most powerful steps in the process of creating a shared vision and will encourage individuals to become personally vested in the success of the organization. Trust in the workplace has been linked to higher levels of organizational performance and competitiveness. It also increases creativity and critical thinking at the employee level. A trusting environment promotes psychological safety, which has been identified as one of the key contributors to high-performing teams. It is the fundamental glue that strengthens the foundation on which self-managed organizations can thrive. But building organizational trust is a continuous process, and sometimes may even demand a change in the company culture. So the first step to building organizational trust is open communication. At K15T, most of the leadership confluence spaces are open to everybody. In addition to that, the leadership publishes important information about the company's strategy regularly on our internal blog. They have even set up dashboards where every team can monitor the performance of all the apps and the company in general. The second step is through meaningful participation. At K15T, this is achieved through open workshops such as Discovery Days, where everyone is encouraged to participate and contribute their ideas, through Blueboard initiatives where everyone can take ownership of the projects that they are passionate about, and finally, by having an open and transparent feedback channel for every important and strategic decisions, along with the day-to-day activities of the company. But nothing implies trust more than the freedom to make one's own decisions. At K15T, we do it by delegating the decision-making power to the self-managed teams and avoiding micromanagement at all costs. Which brings us to the third factor for a successful self-managed organization: autonomy. The philosophy of autonomy is simple. To quote Chuck Blakeman, when people are encouraged to bring their whole creative, messy person to work and are empowered to make decisions, they take ownership in ways they never would before. I still remember the day when my family and I were to take our usual summer road trip to my grandparents' place, and I had asked my dad if I could drive. I had received my driver's license a couple of weeks ago and was looking forward to test my new superpowers on the open road. But my dad simply got into the driver's seat, held the other door open, ushered me in, looked me in the eyes and said, "Son, I trust you behind the wheels, but as long as you're in my car, there's no way you're driving." Therefore, trust without the power to exercise it is of no use to anyone. Teams need to have some level of autonomy when it comes to the decision-making process. And to do so, in addition to trust, they need to be empowered with the right information, be given necessary resources, and be provided with proper guidance. Start by breaking the pyramids and getting rid of hierarchies wherever possible. Exercise is great, but instead of forcing people to climb invisible ladders, give them the space to grow. Now, K15T is a flat organization where teams are encouraged and empowered to take important decisions pertaining to their daily business on their own. There are no managers. Instead, we have housekeepers who are more like guides as opposed to the all-knowing overlords sitting on their iron thrones controlling our every moves. Lead, don't manage. The difference between leading and managing is comparable to the difference between listening and speaking. At K15T, the housekeepers do a fantastic job of making sure that all the teams have the necessary tools, resources, and information to work autonomously. They conduct one-on-one check-in sessions with team members to get their feedback, hear about their goals, and help with planning. They also consult with the teams, provide their feedback, share their wisdom, and help eliminate obstacles. They're almost like our very own Gandalfs. They tell us about the treasure, hand us out the maps, enable us to go on our own adventures, and help us fight the monsters when we can't. But trust is a two-way street. On the one hand, it needs to be earned, and on the other, it needs to be reciprocated. You can do this by encouraging teams and individuals to take up more responsibility and owning their work. You need to create an environment for them to be able to work independently and give them the tools and freedom to work autonomously. At K15T, employees are encouraged to take up Blueboard projects, provided with project management training, and are empowered to get shit done. This brings us to the final factor for successful self-managed organization: purpose. Finding a sense of purpose in one's work is crucial for team effectiveness. Purpose-driven work drives meaning and motivation. This, in turn, leads to innovation, cooperation, and success of the organization. But the thing about purpose is that it can be highly subjective and personal. For some, it may be about having financial security. For others, it may be about supporting their families. Some may derive meaning from work by helping the team succeed, and for others, it could be a means of self-expression. Therefore, purpose and meaning can never be enforced. They can only be cultivated. Therefore, you can start cultivating meaning by making impact visible. Show the teams what they're working for, share the bigger picture, and make them an active part of the conversation. Involve them in important decisions, show them the people who are touched by their work, and share what impact their work has on the organization as a whole. Make sure to erase the lanes and embrace the multidimensionality of individuals. Acknowledge the fact that people are not defined by their titles, and bring with them a treasure of knowledge and experience outside of their roles. Encourage people to explore their interests and express their personalities. Ask them for feedback. Listen to what moves them. Understand what inspires them. And help create an environment where people feel comfortable bringing their whole selves to work. In doing so, you will have successfully laid out the groundwork that self-managed teams need in order to do their best work. Studies have shown that when successful, self-managed teams can be 15 to 20% more productive than other types of teams. They can be more innovative, develop quicker and more effective decision-making skills, and even result in increased motivation and commitment. At K15T, all our product teams are self-organized. And over the past couple of years, we have observed that the success of self-managed teams greatly depends on three important factors: shared leadership, an inclusive decision-making process, internal and external alignment. Let's start by looking at leadership. Self-management can get tricky when it comes to leadership. If the team manages itself, then is there a need for leadership at all? The answer is yes. But then if the answer is yes, then who's the boss? Who takes all the decisions? Who is in charge of keeping things on track? Well, the easy answer is no one. And the difficult answer is everyone. Self-managed teams require a different kind of leadership. One where the responsibility is shared between the members of the team, also known as internal leaders, and the leaders external to the teams. Now, external leaders are the individuals managing the boundary between the team and the larger organization, enabling the teams, guiding them, and making sure they have what they need to run autonomously. A perfect example of external leaders would be the housekeepers. But within the teams, everyone is responsible for the work that they are doing, and leadership is encouraged on an individual level. In our team, we encourage every member to take up the ownership of at least one item on our quarterly roadmaps. We call them feature owners. It is then their responsibility to plan, coordinate, manage dependencies, and execute the tasks. It's almost like working in micro cross-functional teams within our larger self-managed teams, where the feature owners take up the leadership role. This not only makes leadership scalable, but also encourages meaningful participation. But for shared leadership to work effectively, one of the key requirements is alignment. True alignment is when every single person involved understands what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what impact it has on the organization as a whole. In the context of self-managed teams, alignment can be broadly categorized into two types: internal alignment and external alignment. Internal alignment is achieved when team members share a common understanding of the team's goals, are aware of their role in achieving that goal, and are on the same page about how to achieve them. On the other hand, external alignment is achieved when the team's goals are in sync with the company's goals, where the team and the stakeholders share a common understanding of how the team's work fits into the vision of the organization. Now, as an organization, you may have defined a clear vision and have a rock-solid strategy in place, but without proper alignment, the execution will most certainly fail. The same applies to self-managed teams as well. If the members of the teams are not aligned on the whys of their work, or if the stakeholders do not have visibility into the goals and the plans of the team, things can go off track really, really fast. Therefore, it is crucial to be as transparent as possible both within and outside the teams. For external alignment, we make use of Trello boards that are visible to the entire company. These boards list the goals of the teams and their short-term and long-term plans. We manage our roadmaps on Confluence pages and keep it open to everyone in the company. This way, anyone can have a look at it, provide their feedback, and subscribe to changes. We also conduct regular sprint demos where we invite stakeholders to showcase what we are working on and get their insight, ensuring we stay on the correct path. For internal alignment, we make effective use of our Scrum meetings. We use the stand-up meetings for alignment between the team members, the sprint planning meetings for alignment between the different feature owners, and during our quarterly roadmap planning, we look at the numbers together, go through customer feedback, dive into the research, and then collectively plan the next quarter. But when it comes to alignment in self-managed teams, over-communication is the key. It ensures constant flow of information and prevents the team from turning into silos. At K15T, besides the usual channels like Slack, we make extensive use of Confluence for communication. No matter what you're looking for, whether it's a lunch schedule, team plans, meeting notes, or roadmaps, there's a good chance you will find a Confluence page for it. We believe in the idea that if it is in your head, it's on a page. But for broadcasting information, we use blogs. From team updates to wedding announcements, from policy changes to strategic decisions, everything goes into a blog post. Teams also share weekly updates at the company-wide all-hands-in meeting, making communication proactive. This brings us to the third factor for successful self-managed teams, an effective decision-making process. This is it. This is what all that freedom and autonomy boils down to. Now that the decision-making process is decentralized, you will find yourselves making one too many in your day-to-day work. And in the absence of a manager, it can become quite overwhelming and might even cause more harm than good. Therefore, it is crucial to have an effective decision-making process in place. In her book, Fierce Conversations, Susan Scott introduces the decision tree model for effective decision-making and delegation. According to the model, decisions can be classified into 4 categories: leaf, branch, trunk, and root decisions. Leaf decisions are the day-to-day decisions like introduction of a new work process or a new tool within the team, or things like what issues go into the sprints every 2 weeks. As a team, make these decisions and act on them. There's no need to report it to external leaders or stakeholders. The goal here should be to try and move as many decisions as possible out to the leaf level. This will not only increase accountability, but also encourage leadership among team members. Now, the branch decisions are like the routine leadership decisions, like finalizing the quarterly roadmaps or maybe even running a new marketing campaign. As a team, make these decisions, act on them, and communicate it to the external leaders and stakeholders. In our teams, we use Confluence for such decisions as much as possible. Then comes the trunk decisions, which are the significant leadership decisions like hiring a new developer for the team or targeting a new user base. Make these decisions within the team and then discuss it with the external leaders and stakeholders before acting on it. And finally, root decisions are the strategic and high-risk decisions that, if poorly made, could harm the organization. For example, revising the pricing strategy for the apps, or discontinuing support for an app. Therefore, make these decisions jointly with input from the team members, external leaders, and stakeholders. Use meetings for such decisions, get everyone in the same room or Zoom rooms, hear out all the propositions, discuss, address concern, get a consensus, and then act on them. Having an effective decision-making model will result in clarity within teams, encourage autonomy, build leadership, and significantly reduce potential bottlenecks and increase team velocity. But in all the conversations about self-managed organizations and the teams that power them, it is quite easy to forget about the individuals that make up these teams. As an individual, getting used to a self-managed model can get overwhelming. You may find yourself lost in the absence of a hierarchical structure. But the key here is to slowly ease into it. Start small. Pull your own weight. Take ownership of your tasks and execute them well. Identify the leaf decisions and take them. Become comfortable with delegating your work and managing your time. Be proactive with communication and talk to your team members. Ask for help and offer it to others when they need it. Be open to and take advantage of opportunities. Step out of your comfort zones. Try something different, something challenging. Take up a new project. If you are a developer on the team, try giving a demo and talking to customers once in a while. If you are a designer, maybe try writing a blog post about the next big feature. If you're the marketer, maybe spend some time answering support tickets or conducting user interviews. Doing so will not only enrich your personal and professional experience, but also help you appreciate the various roles that your teammates take up on a daily basis, thereby improving compatibility and cohesion within the teams. With no one to do it for you, take up the ownership of your personal and professional growth. Identify your goals, talk about them with your housekeeper, and make them realistic and pursue them. At K15T, we do not have performance reviews where managers evaluate your performances based on your achievements. Instead, we are encouraged to conduct self-evaluation by planning our goals and recording our achievements on what we call a feat sheet. A feat sheet is a Confluence page where everyone plans out things they want to achieve in the year, discuss them with their housekeepers, and record their progress throughout the year. This not only eliminates the bias that comes with traditional performance evaluations, but also provides a self-managed means to help us visualize and celebrate our own achievements and growth. But most importantly, do not hesitate to bring your whole self to work. This way, you will not only enrich your teams and derive meaning from work, but in the grand scheme of things, contribute to the success of the organization. Self-management is an art, and like any other art form, it needs time, effort, and commitment in order to be perfected. There are no formulas for success, only guidelines to help you figure out your own way. As an organization, you will need to get your hands dirty and try out what works best for you. You will need to be ready to transform and share the responsibility of the transformation with everyone in the organization. The art of self-management boils down to creating a culture where the leadership takes up the role of a guide by creating a shared vision and decentralizing the decision-making power, where the teams are empowered to work autonomously, and where the individuals feel comfortable bringing their whole selves to work and derive meaning from the work that they do. 8 years ago, while browsing through memes at work, I had stumbled across a quote that I feel captures the essence of self-management perfectly. And it goes something like this. If you want to build a boat, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea.